Yeah.
Dave, you and I have known each other for more than 10 years, probably a lot longer than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, when your brother passed away a year or so ago, just over a year ago, you had this whole self-reflection, redefinition
Yeah.
of what you want to be as a
Yeah.
training company.
Yeah.
And I think the brand or the name of your company epitomizes
Yeah.
what that story is. Do you want to
Yeah.
explain how you came up with the name Pono
Sure.
Learning?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a good question, and because it is a different name, and I get that question a lot. Pono, like it's not a common word or common name. Basically, I'll try to keep it short and to the point. Um, as I mentioned earlier, my brother passed away January 18th, 2019. Yeah, 19 to the January 18th, 2019, and very suddenly, heart attack, which came to a surprise to a lot of us. And Scott, you knew Paul; he was larger than life, and
Yep.
almost you looked at him like he was invincible, right? He was
Yep.
just this guy. He just, he lived life 150 miles an hour. So one morning, on the morning of the 18th, I got a call quite early in the morning saying that my brother, something happened, brother had a heart attack. So raced to the raced to the hospital with my girlfriend Lauren, and when we got there, we checked in and we asked where he was, and they sent us to the family room. And as soon as they send you to that family room, you're like, that's not a good thing. So went to the family room, and right at that time, the doctors were actually discussing with my brother's girlfriend what had happened, and they were talking about like so getting her to walk through the events, right?
Yep.
Timeline of the events and stuff like that. So that's where I realized or found out that my brother had passed away. So as the doctor was going through the explanation of what they had done and stuff like that, I asked the doctor, like, just out of curiosity, um, would you tell me kind of any way you could tell me what the time of death was? And the doctor's like, the time of death was 8:08, 8:08 a.m. And then my jaw hit the floor, and I looked at Lauren, and her jaw hit the floor, and we were like, "Holy crap!" Now, the reason why that was such a holy crap moment is because my brother and I grew up in a very spiritual household. My mother had a master's degree in theology, and she, growing up, she made sure that we were exposed to any religion or any spirituality thought process that you could even come to mind. That could even come to mind. So, Paul and I, believe it or not, we were very spiritual in our own right. And my brother was very much into numerology, and uh, he had this um, belief the number eight was very symbolic to him, and the number eight represents prosperity. If anyone's into numerology,
Yep.
would know that number eight, prosperity. So he would race, and I have his helmet behind me here. On his car, he was eight. He had tattoos, like he had sleeve tattoos from one wrist to the other wrist, and inside of a Japanese storyboard was the number eight. So he really believed in the number eight, and the license plate. I even have his license plate here from his car with eights on it, right? So I looked at that and it was like 8:08, and I'm like, holy crap! And then 8:08, and then 8:08 on January 18th. So there's way too many eights here, right? It's like
Yeah.
kind of buggy. I got in my car at the end of all of this, and we were driving home from the hospital. I looked at my odometer, and I had 18,883 or 84 kilometers, I think it was, on my odometer. And I was
That's
like,
crazy.
freaking me out.
Yeah.
So then I got home, and we were kind of unwinding at home that evening, and went on my computer, pulled my computer up, and I Googled 8:08. And lo and behold, 8:08 happens to be the area code for Hawaii. And Hawaii, I've traveled all over the place, and there's
Yeah.
one place I haven't been yet, and it's on my bucket list, and that's Hawaii. And that's another like, holy crap, are you kidding me? Like 8:08 is 8:08 on the 18th, and then there's eights in my odometer, and then 8:08 Hawaii made the correlation. So then I just pure curiosity, I was like, I wonder what the Hawaiian word for prosperity is.
Yeah.
And the Hawaiian word for prosperity is to live prosperous, to live Pono. And then that's when I looked at Warren, and I was like, you know what, I think we've got our name. I think Pono Learning, and we kind of played with the wording. Does it sound? Does it ring? Is there a kind of
Yeah.
ring to your ear? And that's how we came up with the name. So Pono Learning comes to a reflection of prosperity. So Pono is prosperity. So that's how we got to the name of Pono Learning. So, everything that we do and every, program that we build, there's a very deep meaning in everything that we kind of build for people. Uh, some people may think it's crazy. Some people
Yeah.
kind of strive for that and live for it. But that's, contrary to the side that some people see that we're always goofing around like you and I like to have
Yeah.
a good time. And, we have different sidebar conversations and bubbles that pop in our heads and we just start rambling on. There's actually true spiritual meaning in a lot of the things that we teach people and try to push people to do the right thing and live prosper. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell of where we got the name Pono Learning.
I think it's awesome. It has a ton of meaning to you, and it's a really cool story
Yeah,
and background of
yeah,
how Pono Learning came to be. Want to just switch to some general conversation around,
sure.
culture and leadership. Again, you and your brother are now with Pono
Yeah,
Learning. You're really focused on culture and
yeah,
leadership and motivating
yeah,
your team. I think, the one big difference today is, everybody's working from home, everybody's working remotely.
yeah,
That's probably something else that'll continue to change as more remote teams. Um,
yeah,
as a sales leader, what makes a good sales leader today with their entire team being remote? And then what makes a great sales leader on the other side of this?
yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because and I'll circle back to some of the points that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, if we're looking at activity based, right, we're going purely on activity and not necessarily on the goal, like which is completely counterintuitive to what
Yeah.
most salespeople have or sales managers have kind of adopted. I think right now with folks working from home, I think as far as communications are concerned, I think the most important thing that we can do today, and again, it may not be the same thing what I would tell you in a month from now or 2 months from now, but right now in the current climate, I think you know your salespeople are looking at you as sales
Yep.
leader to provide some level of clarity and answers to what's going on because they're in this uncharted waters. Like they don't really know where to go and how to navigate through all of this chaos.
Yep.
And I think if we start at the foundation, it's the most simplest form. Okay, we look at that, and I would tell people first thing you must do is display a level of gratitude. So if you're talking to people, if they come to work today or the past week they've been coming to work and they're busting their hump and they're getting stuff done, and you're asking them to hit certain metrics as far as activity is concerned,
Yep.
uh, thank them, let them know that you appreciate everything that they're doing, and you have to remain positive. We go back to that positive reinforcement. And right now, with this uncertainty that they're living, a pat on the back is going to go further than it's ever gone. So just
Yep.
hey, listen, you did a great job. This is, I love what you've done. Keep it up. And again, goes back to the other things I was saying is make sure you emphasize. You go back to hey, listen, here's what not has not changed in how we're doing business, how we're going about things. And for the things that have changed and the way you got to pivot, if I can use that, what has changed as we pivot and how we're going to deal with it and be super clear on it. And people don't like change. Like none of us like change. So as long as we can kind of control the change and let them know it's for the good
Yep.
and we're all in this together and it's almost a change is a living, breathing thing now. Like it is, it's going to change. Wireless changed before. We used to joke, you and I, like,
Yep.
if you think you got everything under control, wait 5 minutes. So, technology will change, pricing will change, everything will change. So I think if we really focus on that, but I also think that, you know, what they see is what you get. And that's an important thing to remember. So basically, if they see that you are panicked and you are freaked out, then they're going to freak out. So
Yep.
it's really important. And this is a very difficult time for sales leaders now because you got to be Joe positive, man. You got to come in there and say, hey, guys, listen, everything's going to be okay. We got things under control. Crazy times, but I'm here. Let me guide you. Let me give you some insight of how we can go about it. They're looking. And if you are shaky, if you are for one instance shaky on your messaging, they're going to see through. They're like, oh my God, I can't. If he doesn't know where he's going, then I don't know where I'm going. And oh my God, panic ensues. The inner dialogue starts. The negativity kind of
Yep. For
piles on
sure.
top of each other. So, you got to make sure that you are being, and it's again another cliche, being the change you want to see in the people. So if you want to make sure you're positive, go back to think, it takes 3 positive conversations or 3 positive activities to eliminate that one negative thing that happened. And I had a conversation yesterday with a customer. He actually challenged me on this. He goes, Dave, I don't think it's three anymore. I think in this day and age right now where we're living, it's probably five. We're probably living at five. We got to need five good things because it's just it goes so fast. You spiral so quickly out
Absolutely.
of sorts.
Yep.
So, I think to develop this new culture where you're going, and this is something I tell everybody, and I've been saying it for years. Um, my opinion on creating culture, you can't create culture overnight. You know what I mean? You can't turn on the lights and
Yep.
tomorrow, like you and I decide this is the new culture of your success team, Scott. Boom, and
Yep.
tomorrow it just happens. I think we got to look at culture as a set of rules. If you set a certain rules and the new ways of doing things, this is what I'm asking you to do. Here are the activities I'm asking you to do on a day to day, which may be different than we use traditionally when we
For
got
sure.
today's money.
Yeah.
Those rules held over time becomes your culture, so that when you have turnover, when people change and things get back to normal, people just jump on board, and you're like, that's just how we do things. And that's how culture is created, and not just in sales or in business, in the world. If you take, it's the same thing in the world, and
Yeah.
without using any examples, but you can look at that as a real life example of what we see in some cultures.